Hello and welcome to my low-waste, food-focused balcony in the middle of Dublin. Hi, I'm Caitlin from Wasteless Wondrous. If you've been following along on my Facebook and my Instagram, you will know that I have gotten really into gardening during the pandemic. Who hasn't? And one of the things that we have struggled with is the fact that we only have quite a small space here. We were living in a larger property which had a full garden, but for a number of reasons we decided to move. We decided to check out a different area of the city, and we've ended up in an apartment. Now, we are very lucky with this apartment because it is so rare to see an apartment with a balcony this size in Dublin. And so let me show you around. We've been trying to plant as many things as possible on our balcony, and we are trying to make sure that as we're doing our planting, we're doing it in a sustainable way. We're using reused materials as much as we can, and that even goes as far as reused trees. So let me give you the tour. You can see that it's actually a really amazingly large balcony, and we are so lucky to have it. It's also in a courtyard, which means that we don't really get frost here, and it protects us from a lot of the wind. The first thing that we have here is a wonderful tree. This is actually an elder tree, which we found on a freecycle group on Facebook. It was listed as if you can get it out of the ground, you can have it. So this is going to make some beautiful elderflower blossoms, which we're going to be able to turn into cordial, and elderberries, which I still haven't quite figured out how to use, but I will. One of our ways that we have acquired all of the stuff here is that we keep an eye on Facebook free cycle groups and things like that for people who are moving, and they'll often list, you know, I have a bunch of plastic pots or I have seeds or whatever free to whoever wants them. And this is one of those situations. In this pot we have just a random combination of seeds that came from someone who was moving house, and they just had a bunch of seeds left over. Some of them had fallen out of their packets, and this is what sprouted when we just planted everything that was in the bottom of this box that they gave us. So we have some coriander leaves here, we have some, that is a lettuce, and then I think that might be a sunflower. I'm not 100% sure what these puppies are, but we'll use a plant identifier app and we'll figure it out. And then a few of these are just wildflowers and things that have managed to pop up in there. This is a baby leaf cut and come again perennial? It's a cut and come again spinach, which gets to sort of yay big, the kind of stuff that you get in a supermarket in the bags. But we know that we eat loads and loads of spinach, so we've planted plenty. Just in front, another thing that we love and we love eating and was included in this mix of seeds that we got is some lovely peas. So this is just kind of them starting out. They will get a couple of meters tall if we let them. So we will need to, at some point, put some trellis up. I guess this is actually as good a time as any to jump in with how we chose what we've planted on the balcony. And because we have such limited space, we didn't want to just plant a bit of everything. We really thought quite hard about the things that we buy the most and the things that we can find unpackaged least often, and the things that we know that we're going to eat as they come up. We have a guest star. This is my favorite pigeon. She comes and says hi every day. Okay, moving up. This is my flower box. This is some of the only flowers on the balcony, but it still does have some useful stuff in it. So down here we've got a little nasturtium baby who's not doing terribly well, but this plant is really cool because you can actually eat all of it. So these little tiny leaves, here's a bigger one that's doing a lot better. These leaves are a nice peppery salady leaf. You can eat the stems, and it has these beautiful big orange flowers which you can also eat. Then we've got some wildflower seeds in there, and then we've got a few of these sort of bedding flowers just to add some color, and a sage plant which is not doing terribly well, but we don't need sage very often, so I'm not too fussed about that one. If you look in the window into my messy bedroom, you can also see that we're currently sprouting some tomatoes inside as part of an an experiment. We have some inside tomatoes and some outside tomatoes, and we're going to see which ones do better. Back down on the ground in this big crate. This actually isn't ours. We're looking after this for the downstairs neighbours. We are currently looking after plant sitting some of their balcony flowers. So that was a whole mix of tulips and daffodils and things that were gorgeous during spring, and they've just kind of started dying back now. We'll probably ask them if we could pop some wildflower seeds in there just to have some more wildflowers for the birds and the bees. My curious pigeon. I'm pretty sure that that one is spinach that I planted really late. That in the background is a hydrangea that I'm actually growing. It grew from a clipping. I just cut off a little snippet of some greenery to have in the house and then ignored it for long enough that it grew roots. So it's sprouting now. So fun fact, you can propagate hydrangeas. Over here we have some beetroot, which are just starting to come up, little baby beet greens. Those are going to need to be thinned soon, but you can also eat the greens. So when I thin them, I'm just going to pull out all of the ones that are too close together, and I'm going to have a little munch on the little tiny baby beets. Then we have more spinach. That's more of the cut and come again stuff. Another rosemary plant. This is actually from a plant that we found in the garden of the place where we got the elder tree. So I just said, hey, can I grab a little bit of that? She just pruned it. So she said, yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to chuck it in the bin. So now it's sprouting and I'm going to have my own little rosemary bush. It's very exciting. In the background, we have a lovely lavender plant. Bees love lavender, so that's the main reason we've got that one. And in this box, which is actually an old post sorting box, which we just acquired. It had holes in the bottom, therefore it is a growing bed. And in that we have some kale. It is a heritage kale variety that is specialized, specially good for Ireland, and that's why we grabbed it, because it is for these conditions. So that's what's at the back, and then at the front, this is our longest growing spinach bed, but for some reason, it's not coming out evenly, so I don't know why that is, but we shall see. The kale is doing very well, though. This corner is where things get a little bit more muddled up and complicated. In the foreground, we have some chilies. These are some of the chilies that we still have from last year that we managed to overwinter in our bathroom, actually. They sat next to the toilet. They're our toilet chilies. And so these are already a year old. But they didn't get great growth last year. We're not sure why. We probably didn't keep them inside in the warm for long enough. But because they're big and strong, we put them out a little bit earlier than maybe we should have this year. So as you can see, there's two dead sticks in the front, but the back two are still looking healthy and strong. Behind those, we have some Asian greens. Now, I'm not sure entirely what that means, but there was just a packet of seeds that came free in some yogurt that I bought. I don't usually buy yogurt, but this one was a yellow sticker, reduced to clear, it's gonna get thrown away if no one buys it kind of thing. And so I went, you know what? Let's see what this is like. And I ended up with some lovely seeds. So not 100% sure again if they're going to be like cooking greens or salad greens, but greens. We eat so many greens that I figured they would be eaten. Down here, this one hasn't started sprouting yet, but I'm pretty sure that that one is another box O spinach. But I think I only planted that quite recently. I had a plan, hang on. I did have a system for remembering what I had put in each plant when I first did the planting, but it involved location specific memory. So when Adam came out and we assembled a new set of shelves, we moved all of the pots around and suddenly I have no idea what's where. But that's okay, because it all just needs sunshine and water, and it'll be a fun surprise when things start sprouting. This here is one that I've kind of covered briefly in one of my other videos, which you could check out on the channel, and this is our trough. We did buy this trough. It's pretty much, apart from the greenhouse, one of the only things we actually paid money for. And the reason that we did is because we wanted to get some more layers to double the floor space of this area. It also, at the moment, is doubling as our space to mix our soil. So this kind of ugly end down here, pretty end, lots of flowers, yay. ugly end, this is where we mix our soil. So we get our soil from a number of places, and we try to get soil locally that isn't being used, and then we enrich it with a combination of worm castings, compost, maybe some manure if we have access to it, and loads of coffee grounds from the cafe downstairs. So we mix all of that in here and then leave it to age for a little while, and then it goes into pots as things grow and they need to be repotted. That's where we get our soil from. So here we have some potatoes which have been planted in an old plastic bag that I think just had compost in it. I'm not 100% sure what that had in it, but old plastic bag. We're just gonna rinse and reuse as many times as we can and see if we can grow some potatoes out of that one. Then in the background we have some more spinach. More spinach. Yes, you heard that right. More spinach. We have some flowers, and this is another one of those funny combo ones. This is an old flower plant that I replanted into some worm castings from a worm farm. And the worm castings clearly had, I think that they must be pumpkins or maybe melons seeds in them. So these big leafy things, I'm pretty sure are pumpkin or melon. And I'm pretty sure that's a little tomato that's also coming out there. So that's going to be in the bucket with the flowers, because I'm not going to take them out. That's great. Free food. Yes. On the top of this stand that we got, we have a bunch of trees and some flowers. So these are, again, some of the only flowers that we have. These little ones, I believe bees really like, and these ones we just like the color of. Then we have 4 native Irish tree saplings. I'm gonna get all of these names wrong. This one is a conker tree, but I can't remember what that's called in real life. It's the one that conkers. You can actually still see the little conker at the bottom there that it's growing out of, which is really cute. Pretty sure this one's a beech, I think. And then I can't remember what those two are. But I think we've got at least, is it a chestnut? We've got a chestnut. Anyway, we've got some of them. And then over here again is some worm castings, which I didn't plant anything in, but it started growing, so I'm just leaving it to it. And I'm pretty sure that's more pumpkins. In here we have, I've guesstimated, but I've never actually counted. I'm gonna say we've got at least 25 chili plants, which is really good because we eat a lot of chilies. And I think we probably have over 30 tomato plants, which came from a variety of places and a variety of different types. So in there are salad tomatoes, there are slicing tomatoes, and there are cherry tomatoes, but do not ask me which ones are which. And then down here, we also have some courgette plants. So there's a whole mix of things that are sprouting in here, and you'll notice that they're all growing in a very wild collection of containers. For example, that one was a protein pudding. And then the rest of the pots in here actually came from freecycle and from friends, or they're just random like pieces of plastic that have come into our lives. These ones are from mushrooms, from buying mushrooms. And then a lot of the other ones, for example, down here, are just from like other people's flowers that we have just gathered, and we hang on to them and we will plant stuff in them. Or even, yeah, anything can be planted in, basically. Moving around, we have some very happy potatoes. These potatoes were the first ones that we planted. Again, they're just planted in plastic bags and into soil that is, you can use pretty rubbish soil for potatoes. They're very relaxed about what their medium is. So we just use all of the scrappiest soil, and we just planted our potatoes into those. And then as they come up to about this high, actually, you roll up the sides of the bags and refill them to bury all of that green growth. And that will mean that they will basically turn that into root system and grow more potatoes. Just in front of our potatoes, we have a whole bunch more chilies, which are from last year again. So these are a little bit older, a little bit more sturdy. But at the same time, they just didn't grow very well last year, but they didn't die over winter. So we've popped them outside to get loads and loads of sun. Hopefully, we'll get a few more chilies off these. Amusing side note, last year, I think we planted at least 30 chili plants, and we probably gave away 10 or 15 of them, but of all of the plants that remained, we must have started too late in the season or something. We got 4 chilies. 4. This beautiful big tree sitting in that little pot is an apple tree. Again, we got this for free, I believe, off a Facebook group, and it was a situation where someone was redoing their garden and digging up a whole bunch of things, and they just popped it on a Facebook group and said, does anyone want this? And we said, yes, absolutely. We actually cycled about 4.5 kilometers to pick this tree up. For context, the greenhouse next to it is 1.5 meters tall. So it's a tall enough tree, and we had to bring it home on bicycles. So we looked like, I don't even know what we looked like, but it was very funny. Coming around, we have some oak trees. This is our downstairs neighbours that we're looking after. But then we've also got 2 more little baby acorns, again growing in a reused pot. And those are going to be planted out into the farm area at some point when they're a bit older. We've let this dandelion grow in here quite deliberately because bees love dandelions. Down here we have some of the greens. I'm gonna say kale, but I'm not 100% sure. It may also be the Asian mix again. Not 100% sure. It's definitely greens though. In the back, we have some beetroot. Again, these ones are just coming up. This corner gets a bit less sun. That's why there's fewer of them raising their heads so far. These are carrots, and carrots are a pain in the bum to plant because the carrot seeds are so tiny. You can fit like 1,000 of them into a teaspoon. So trying to spread them out so that they wouldn't be in these clumps like this was just impossible. So they're kind of growing in a circle with a dash of them in the middle. And those are going to need to be thinned out pretty dramatically as well. There's more carrots in the back here. Can't remember what that one was. I can't remember. I think it was something cool, but it hasn't started sprouting, so I can't try and identify it yet. Conker tree, I think? I'm going to say either wildflowers or spinach. More wildflowers. And this is actually an ornamental bay tree, which I'm about 79% sure I can eat the leaves of. If anyone knows, it smells like bay leaves. It looks like bay leaves. If anyone can tell me if this is going to poison me, that would be great. But I'm pretty sure it won't. Let me know in the comments, please. These big growth pieces are actually last year's wildflowers that remained, so that's exciting. And then we've got more baby wildflowers down there. Couple of nice plants there that we've planted. Again, you can see we've reused containers, and I truly believe that you can plant flowers in pretty much anything. This is an old espresso tin, and we just stabbed some holes in the bottom with a nail. I'm gonna get this wrong. Help me identify this. Is this thyme or oregano or something? I think it's thyme, not 100%. It's delicious though, so we've been using that. And this is some more wildflowers. This is the first batch of wildflowers that we planted out, and it's definitely, you can see the difference in growth. So it's very exciting to see those getting strong and healthy. And we've actually got some buds. Look at that. Very exciting. Thank you for joining me on my little tour of my balcony. My pigeon says goodbye as well. Hey, Pidge. Thank you for watching. If you would like to learn more about some of the stuff that we've chosen and the reason that we chose it, please leave me a comment. I'm happy to answer any questions. And yeah, have a fabulous day. And I hope that you too manage to grow some super local, super low carbon footprint vegetables and fruits in your own garden or space, no matter how small it is. Have a lovely day.